This man fled his country. He went to Sweden. He had a great life. But this man goes back to Chechnya, sucks off a dictator, sucks him off, lets his son beat him up, and the leash got too tight. Too many G-Wagons. And when it came down to go a little deeper and suck a little more, this little fucking pussy ran to somewhere in the Middle East. And then he goes and sells a Bitcoin scam. Chimaev can fight, but sir, you are not a fucking man, you little Chechen whore.
Never seen someone come to on my face and said something in internet, lot of going on.
Sean Strickland this week said that he's the only guy out there to beat you.
He always talks on my show.
But you guys trained together and you choked him out a few times, right?
We did spar a lot before, but that's why he's so mad.
This guy choked him out as well.
Yeah, take him down and submit him. Really make it choke.
Now Sean's gonna talk about bad teams, so we'll see.
You 50K to bet right now. Khamzat versus Strickland. Who you betting?
Khamzat. I think Sean Strickland is a better wrestler than DDP, and he got the best gas tank I ever seen. I would be rooting for Strickland in this fight, but I just think that Khamzat is relentless on his wrestling. Since he came down to train with Armin, I think that changed that cardio and stuff now. If he looks in a way like he looked his last fight, I think he's going to improve on that. He's going to take Strickland to deep water and ground and pound out another victory. So if I'm betting, I would put my money on Khamzat.
Look at the history of Chimaev. Chimaev goes, he flees his country and goes to fucking Sweden. Goes to Sweden, has this nice prosperous life with all the normal folks. And then he goes back to Chechnya, where the fuck he's from, and he goes and he gets balls deep with his dictator. Fucking balls deep with his dictator. And his dictator's like, all right, well, here's a G-Wagon. Now I want you to go train my kid, and I want you to let my kid beat you up. And this dictator's like, all right, now I want you to do this. And then Chimaev's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was signed up to be a prostitute, but you're going too deep here. The tip is going too far in. It's going too far in. And now he actually has some fear for his life from this fucking dictator. And he's still owned. So what does he do? Hops on a plane, goes to the fucking sand pit. That, they could probably give us money or some shit.
Is this 185 right now?
No, this one's 170.
I'll tell you what I can't fucking wait for is Khamzat versus Strickland. Let's fucking go. That's really happening? In New Jersey.
Yeah.
In New Jersey,
Damn.
Joey.
Yeah.
Damn. That's a motherfucking fight.
That's a Super Bowl right there, dude.
Dude, the press conferences, bro. So you know how the UFC makes them do, like Paramount makes them do face-off like 3 times before the fight? They fly in on a Tuesday. Yeah. They have them face-off with the lights. You can't do that with those.
Imagine the shit talk.
You can't do it. And Paramount, they're in suits. Like, I don't see why not. It's like, well, because they're going to kill each other.
Yeah, you can't do that.
He called him a terrorist. We can't have.
He called him a goat fucker.
Yeah, damn.
The room went silent the moment Sean Strickland opened his mouth. He didn't just target Khamzat Chimaev's fighting style. He went straight for his soul. Calling the most feared man in the UFC a prostitute for a dictator and mocking his ties to Chechnya was the spark that blew the lid off the presser. Khamzat didn't just get angry, he snapped. The look in his eyes wasn't promotional hype, it was pure unadulterated hatred. This wasn't a face-off anymore, it was a promise of violence that the UFC security team realized they might not be able to stop. The verbal napalm thrown by Strickland has changed the entire trajectory of this fight.
Before that fight, I'm like, man, Strickland would probably get fucked up by Khamzat. Then the shape I saw him in, I was like, motherfucker.
This isn't just another main event. Insiders are calling this the Super Bowl of unfiltered, unhinged trash talk. We have seen rivalries before, but when terms like goat fucker and terrorist are being thrown around like candy, you know the script has been thrown out the window. The UFC is used to manufacture drama, but this is a collision of 2 personalities that genuinely cannot stand the sight of each other. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, and the analysts are legitimately concerned that these 2 might try to finish the fight backstage before the cage door even closes. The stakes have never felt this personal.
And Joe, the mystery of that fight is Strickland's going to get taken down. That's going to happen. He'll get taken down. But he's so well versed on getting up in his cardio. That 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, if he keeps getting up, defend the submissions, that's when it gets interesting.
Strickland's attack was surgical and personal. He dragged Khamzat's history through the mud, mocking his move from Sweden to the Middle East and claiming he fled because the leash from his home country got too tight. According to Sean, Khamzat isn't the big bad wolf everyone thinks he is. He's just a man who ran away to sell Bitcoin scams and hide in a sandpit. It's the kind of talk that usually gets a fighter a lawsuit, but in the UFC, it's fuel for a fire that is currently burning out of control. Khamzat's reputation as a man of honor was being dismantled in front of the world, and he was not about to let it slide.
He does so many sneaky things on the feet that people don't
And he
see
just
coming.
keeps coming.
Yep.
Keeps coming.
Yeah, no way Khamzat's gonna fucking stand with him. He's gonna try to take him down. No
Keeps
way.
keeping you.
Yeah.
Khamzat can strike too, though. Did you see the video of
He's no
Khamzat
punk.
striking with
But,
Khalil?
no,
Yeah, he's no
totally.
punk.
But you think that's the best strategy for
No.
Khamzat? No
No.
way.
No, the best
Because
strategy is
Strickland could fucking
drag him to the ground.
He's got great striking. Why would you take a chance?
The only thing that would make sense is if he wanted to make up for the last fight where a lot of people thought it was boring when he won against Strickland.
Because he didn't look for a finish.
Dude,
so
if
He just comes out.
Khamzat fired back with a chilling reminder of their shared history. He didn't just deny the accusations, he reminded everyone that they have shared the mats before. Chimaev claims he has already broken Strickland in training, choking him out and submitting him multiple times when the cameras weren't rolling. To Khamzat, Sean's big mouth is just a defense mechanism for a man who knows exactly what it feels like to have the wolf's hands around his throat. He's calling Sean a fake, a loudmouth who talks to the internet but trembles when he's actually standing across from a real killer in the gym. The gym stories are finally coming to light.
But here's why you can try to stand with Strickland, because he's not a knockout artist. Like, he's a volume puncher, like a Nate Diaz. It's a lot of volume. So even if you do stand with him and you get pieced up, he's not really going to knock you out.
And we really don't know
Dropped
how
Izzy
strong.
with one shot.
We really don't know how Khamzat's
finish
chin is. Right? He's never like we don't know. If
No,
he, can take
he went
two
toe to toe
rounds
with, I mean, smaller guy, but Gilbert Burns, right? He traded shots with him.
The UFC is facing a logistical nightmare trying to promote this. Standard face-offs are usually a breeze, but with these two, the security protocols have to be rewritten. They can't even do the usual media shots because the risk of a full-blown brawl is too high. You can't put a man who calls someone a terrorist in the same room as a guy who is known for jumping over cages to attack people. It's a riot control situation disguised as a sporting event. The UFC wants the hype, but they are terrified of the liability that comes with letting these two volatile humans within arm's reach of each other. Every moment they are together is a risk.
down.
I mean, we couldn't get close. I mean, he never.
He's really tough to take down.
Michael Venom just controlled that fight. He just controlled every aspect of that fight.
Was that before or after the Thompson fight?
Let's talk about the technical mystery that is making every gambler nervous. Everyone knows exactly how this starts. Khamzat is going to dive for a double leg immediately. He's a wrestling machine from a region that produces nothing but hammers. But the panel pointed out something fascinating. Strickland is notoriously hard to keep down. He has this elite level ability to find his feet no matter how much pressure is on him. If Khamzat can't get the early finish, he's entering deep waters against a man who has a gas tank that simply doesn't empty. It's a classic battle of the first round explosion versus fifth round cardio. It's a nightmare for any bettor.
Fucking animal in his prime, and that was the first defeat that Thompson had, and like he just couldn't deal with the full rounded skill set
And the pressure,
yeah,
nonstop, yeah.
veteran pressure, and just like he could fight on the ground too. Like,
And then Woodley beat Thompson two
times.
Yeah, but it was super boring.
super boring, but Woodley fought him the right way.
Yeah.
Just like he's fighting him. Don't engage. Don't just run into the wood chipper.
The perception of Sean Strickland has shifted dramatically in the last few months. Before his recent performances, most people thought he was just a sacrificial lamb for someone like Khamzat. But then he showed up in the best shape of his life, looking sharp, disciplined, and physically imposing. He's no longer the guy you can just steamroll. His striking has become this weird, awkward rhythm that frustrates even the most technical fighters. He's sneaky on his feet, doing things that don't make sense until your nose is bleeding and you're gasping for air. He makes world-class athletes look like amateurs. This is the new dangerous version of Sean.
How about those epic matches? Wasn't it with like GSP? It was like Johnny Hendricks and GSP.
There's a massive question mark hanging over Khamzat's chin that nobody wants to address. We saw him get dropped by Gilbert Burns, a much smaller guy, in a war that humanized the wolf. If a welterweight can put him on his backside, what happens when he stands in front of a volume punter like Strickland for 25 minutes? Khamzat has striking power. We've seen the videos of him training with heavy hitters, but he's never faced the relentless, nagging pressure that Sean brings. It's not about one big shot, it's about the 100 small shots that break your spirit and your face at the same time. His durability is the ultimate X factor.
Training partner.
I'll tell you what, man, props to Patterson, because this is the first dude that Venom Page has fought that doesn't look like he doesn't belong.
Strickland is basically the Nate Diaz of the middleweight division, but with better defensive footwork. He's a volume punter who doesn't necessarily look for the knockout, but he will piece you up until you quit. This creates a dangerous trap for Chimaev. If Khamzat gets arrogant and decides he wants to prove he can strike, he might be walking right into a wood chipper. The panel was adamant. The only smart move for Khamzat is to wrestle. If he tries to stand and trade to prove a point after all that trash talk, he might find himself looking at the lights, wondering where it all went wrong. The ego could be his biggest enemy in this fight.
Call your boy.
It's literally the last guy you want to fight a style like that, someone who understands it.
The strategic blueprint for beating an elusive striker like Sean is well documented in MMA history. Think back to how Tyron Woodley handled Wonderboy Thompson. It takes extreme discipline and the refusal to just run in blindly. You have to stay on the outside, pick your spots, and avoid the trap of engagement. Khamzat isn't exactly known for his patience. He's a blitz-style fighter who wants to end things in the first 60 seconds. If Strickland can survive that initial hurricane, the fight moves into a territory where Khamzat has looked vulnerable and tired in the past. This is a chess match disguised as a street fight.
There's not a lot of guys lining up to take that fight because he makes you look so stupid. But this dude is like, I've been in there with him 100 rounds. I know how to fight it.
One of the most interesting things discussed was the stupid factor. Strickland has this unique ability to make his opponents look absolutely stupid in the cage. They find themselves swinging at air, unable to close the distance, and getting frustrated by his constant jab and weird shell defense. It's a psychological nightmare. Imagine being a terrifying wrestler who can't even get close enough to grab a leg because you're getting poked in the face with a jab every time you move. That frustration leads to mistakes, and mistakes lead to Sean Strickland holding a championship belt over his head. It's a mental game as much as physical.
Hard time believing that. Like those motherfuckers in the top 10, the 185 and 170 are dogs.
They
don't give a fuck, especially if they can grapple.
They don't want,
do it.
But look, the line to the top is very short right now.
Yeah.
Right?
The money is split right down the middle on this one. On one hand, you have the Dagestani-style wrestling pressure that has historically dominated the sport. On the other, you have a guy who has been in the gym for 100 rounds with every style of fighter imaginable. Strickland isn't intimidated by the boogeyman aura that Khamzat carries. He's seen it all, fought through the rankings, and survived short notice wars against killers like Imavov. He's a dog who loves the fight more than the victory, which is a very dangerous person to share a locked cage with for half an hour. The odds are as tight as they can get for a reason. Let's dive deeper into the crypto scam allegations that Sean brought up. This wasn't just a random insult. It's a direct hit on Khamzat's credibility with the fans. Strickland is painting a picture of a man who exploited his following for a quick payday before running to the Middle East to hide from the consequences. Whether it's true or not, it's a narrative that sticks. It changes the way the public views Chimaev. Instead of the unstoppable warrior, he's being framed as a mercenary who sold out his supporters. It's high-level mental warfare designed to get under Khamzat's skin before the first punch is even thrown. The comparison to Michael Venom Page is actually a brilliant observation. Like MVP, Strickland uses distance and unorthodox movement to stay safe. He's not a traditional boxer or kickboxer, he's an enigma. When you fight someone like that, your brain has to work twice as hard to process the information coming at you. Khamzat is used to being the one dictating the terms of the fight. If he finds himself unable to read Sean's rhythm, his confidence might start to crumble. We've seen him look frustrated when things don't go his way early, and frustration is a death sentence against a volume striker who never stops. This matchup is being compared to the legendary war between GSP and Johnny Hendricks. It's that kind of Super Bowl atmosphere where the stakes are so high that the winner becomes an instant legend and the loser has to rebuild from scratch. In the top 10 of the middleweight division, nobody wants to take a step backward. The line to the title is short, and one slip-up can ruin years of work. Both men know this, which adds a layer of desperation to the fight. They aren't just fighting for bragging rights. They are fighting for the right to remain at the absolute peak of the sport. One mistake changes everything. Sean's recent win over Imavov proved that he is a different breed of athlete. Taking a fight like that on short notice and looking that dominant says everything you need to know about his preparation. He stays ready so he doesn't have to get ready. Khamzat, meanwhile, has had long layoffs and health scares that have kept him out of the cage. The activity level favors Strickland heavily. In the UFC, momentum is everything, and Sean is currently riding a wave of confidence that might be enough to carry him through the wrestling storm that is headed his way. Activity often beats pure talent in the long run. The internal politics of Khamzat's training camp were also brought into the light. Strickland's comments about the dictator's son beating him up in training were designed to emasculate the wolf. It's a brutal accusation that suggests Khamzat isn't even the master of his own career. For a man who prides himself on being the ultimate alpha, hearing that he is a prostitute for a regime is the ultimate insult. It's why he snapped. It's why the press conference felt more like a street fight than a media event. Sean knows exactly which buttons to press to make his opponents lose their cool. The mask is slipping. There's a legitimate concern that these two won't even make it to the fight. The UFC has had to deal with pre-fight altercations before, but the animosity here feels more personal and more dangerous. When you bring up families, politics, and personal honor, the rules of professional sports start to fade away. We're looking at a situation where the backstage area needs more security than the front row. The analysts are right. You can't just treat this like a normal fight. This is a powder keg, and Sean Strickland just spent 20 minutes throwing matches at it. The explosion is coming. Let's look at the wrestling defense stats. Strickland has worked extensively with elite grapplers to shore up the biggest hole in his game. He knows the takedown is coming. He's not going to be surprised when Khamzat dives for his hips in the first 5 seconds. The question is whether he can make the cost of that takedown so high that Khamzat doesn't want to try it a second time. If Sean can land some heavy elbows or knees on the entry, the entire dynamic of the fight changes. Khamzat has to respect the danger on the way in, or he might end up waking up to a referee waving the fight off. The Sandpit comments about the Middle East show that Strickland doesn't care about being politically correct or making friends in high places. He is the ultimate outsider, a man who says exactly what he thinks regardless of the consequences. This makes him a nightmare for the UFC's PR department, but a dream for the fans who are tired of polished corporate athletes. Khamzat represents the new wave of international dominance, while Strickland represents the old-school raw American grit. It's a clash of cultures, styles, and ideologies that has the entire world watching. There is no middle ground here. We really don't know how strong Khamzat is at 185 pounds compared to the true giants of the division. He spent a lot of time at 170, and while he was a monster there, the middleweight division is a different beast entirely. Sean is a big, durable man who can take a punch and keep moving forward. If Khamzat's power doesn't translate the same way at the higher weight class, he's in for a very long night. The size advantage he usually enjoys might be neutralized, forcing him to rely on technique and heart rather than just bullying his way to a victory. The jump in weight is a huge factor. The betting lines are shifting as more information comes out about their training sessions. While Khamzat claims he dominated, there are always two sides to a story. In a real fight, with the lights, the crowd, and the small gloves, training room stories don't mean a demon thing. What matters is who can execute their game plan under the most intense pressure imaginable. Strickland has proven he can do it. Khamzat has shown flashes of brilliance, but also moments of exhaustion. It's the ultimate test for both men to see who truly belongs at the top of the mountain. The cage is the only truth. At the end of the day, this rivalry has transcended the sport of MMA. It's about more than just a win or a loss. It's about whose reality is going to be imposed on the other. Will the Wolf's sheer aggression and wrestling pedigree silence the loudest mouth in the business, or will Strickland's relentless volume and psychological warfare expose a flaw in the boogeyman? One thing is for certain, when the cage door closes, all the talk about dictators, crypto, and training sessions will vanish. All that will be left is two men who have promised to destroy each other, and only one of them is walking out.